What's poppin', everybody? It's a Saber Finder 4, and today I'm gonna show you guys a deck profile from the ever epic EX era, 2002 to 2007. Legal sets are gonna be all of those beloved sets, and it's gonna be centered around this Shiftry EX from EX Crystal Guardians. Now this is some really premium stuff with this deck. It's one of the only EX decks that I can currently show you guys. I do have a lot of the cards from the EX era because I've been collecting them for years, but just having playsets of everything so you can show decks is a different story. But this is a really cool deck and a really good beginner deck too from the EX era because it's just very straightforward. This guy is just a stage 2, you get him out and he essentially functions on his own. So let's get straight to the deck. First card is going to be a full playset of this Shiftry EX. Really cool card, really nice EX card. It's a dark EX, 140 HP, is kind of on the medium to low side for stage 2s back then. Most of them would have 150 and even 160 HP to give out to prize cards. A double weakness is also pretty annoying too. You would want to avoid that if you could. Being weak to grass and fighting can be problematic. Resistance to psychic is okay, it's standard. And the Fear Retreat is beautiful. Now what made this card really good in the 2006-2007 format is the Dark Eyes Pokebody. Essentially with this Pokebody, anytime your opponent used a Pokepower, you put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Now, not only does this Pokebody stack, so if you get a bunch of these out, your opponent is going to really be hurting themselves using Pokepowers. It's just very effective. It's just a body. It's going to activate as oftentimes as your opponent uses a Pokepower. And back then, using Pokepowers was essentially everything. You were either really exploiting powerful Pokepowers or trying to shut them down. And this synergizes perfectly with its target attack too. Now this attack is going to do, it's a 30 damage snipe essentially for 2 energies, but if you choose a Pokemon that has already damage counters on it, it's going to do 50 for 2, which is quite impressive for back then. So snipe, you know, effective, cheap energy, synergizes with Pokebody. And as a dark Pokemon too, you can utilize special darkness energy. So if you do attack the active Pokemon, you're going to get even more damage. Now the Blade Arms attack is just okay, 70 for 3. It was basically kind of standard. You know, most Pokemon would do 50 for 3 or 60 for 3 maybe, and then EXs would do like 70 for 3 for a vanilla attack. If you were going to do more damage, they would usually have additional effects or drawbacks. But pretty good card. It's the main Pokemon of the deck. I did think of running 3 Shiftry EX and having one of the Shiftrys from EX and Legends, I believe, and then you can do like boost energy and you can make an attack super quick and hit some Pokemon that would be immune to EXs, for example. But it's just better to have this guy at 4 so you can really just exploit his Pokebody, you know, stacking. And we have other ways to hit different Pokemon, as you guys are going to see. Okay, so this is the first dude. Next up, it's going to be the one Nuzleaf. You have a bunch of options because Nuzleaf, you know, Shiftry basically had most of his prints in the original EX era. But this is the best one, I would say. There's one with more HP, 80 HP. I think it might be from the EX and Legend set, or perhaps it's the Deoxys set. I'm not quite sure. There's a bunch of options, even one from EX Power Keepers if you want to use that. But this one is good because it can do pound, 1 for 20, which is effective if you have to attack with a stage 1. And with a special dark, 30 for 1, that's pretty good, cheap damage. And the plunder attack is also really good. Before doing damage, discard all trainer cards attached to the defending Pokemon. So you're going to be able to discard any annoying Pokemon tools if they have them. So it's pretty good, 30 for 2. Effective. So that's the Nuzleaf. And then for the C-Dot of the deck, it's going to be 4 of the EX Deoxys C-Dot. Now this is the best one. All of them have low 40 HP, but it was kind of okay back then, 40 HP. I guess it was standard, 50, 40 HP. Now this one is the best one because it has Collect, which just lets you draw a card in the beginning of the turn, which can be pretty handy. There's a few other ones that can do like energy acceleration from the hand for grass energies, and you have some other options, but they're not really that good, to be honest. This is the best one, so we'll run for this one. Okay, and now for my, I guess, creative twist of the deck, but not really. We do double Porygon2. Now, most players running like a consistency engine during that time would run probably Pidgeot, stage 2 Pidgeot, which could let you grab any card from the deck every turn. And if you check out Jason Klasinski's deck profile for this deck in his WordPress page, he does use Pidgeot. I don't have Pidgeot, and to be honest, I really just prefer this guy. There's advantages and drawbacks using Porygon2 compared to Pidgeot. Number one, this is a stage 1, so it's going to be easier to get out. And number 2, this card can let you get multiple cards depending on your hand size. This is essentially the better version of Silverly GX, Octillery from Breakthrough, if you're familiar with those cards, and Barrel right now. You draw until you have 6 cards essentially. So it's going to be really good. If you have 3 cards in hand, it means you can draw 3 cards. Lower hand size than that just means more cards. Now, of course, the drawback is that if you have a bunch of cards in hand stock, then you're not really going to be able to get a lot of cards. And Pidgeot is just more consistent in the sense that you can get 1 card every turn, but you can get any card. Your hand size doesn't matter. It's pretty good. Both of them are colorless Pokemon, so they're going to be shut down by Battle Frontier and all the other disruption cards that are meant to shut them down. But it's nice. Machine Burst, it's there, it's his attack, but we don't have any technical machines to gain his effect. But I guess if you do 30 for 2, maybe hit a Pokemon that's going to be immune to Shiftry. There was a bunch of EX wall Pokemon back then, like Wobbuffet and Ninetales, and I believe Dugong as well. That's right, you know, blocking your EX attacks. We have other attackers, but I guess this guy can come up too. I like it. There's benefits and drawbacks, like I said, but I prefer using this Pokemon for now. Okay, and to go with Porygon2, we have 2 of the original Porygon. You have, I think, either 2 or 3 options. This is the best one because with data retrieval, you can draw cards too. It's a consistency attack. If you have less than 4 cards in your hand, draw cards until you have 4. 50 HP, good starting Pokemon. So it's the best one. So I made sure to get 2. Okay. And now for the other EX attacker in this deck, we have this super cool Absol EX. Now this card is kind of, it's a good card, but you gotta know how to use it, basically. It has 100 HP, it's a basic EX Pokemon. 100 HP for basic EX Pokemon back then was kind of standard, but it is a bit dangerous still because you can give 2 prizes to your opponent very easily if they pick on this card. But this card did see play in a lot of top decks and World Championship level decks too, because Cursed Eyes, Pokepower, you can move damage counters from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another one of your opponent's Pokemon, 3 of them. So in a deck like us where we can essentially get a bunch of damage counters on a bunch of different Pokemon with pokepowers, this guy's going to be able to manipulate those damage counters. And his Psychic Pulse attack also kind of works well in this deck. You know, you do 30 for 2 and then 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon that have damage counters on them. So he's going to be compatible with Special Darkness Energy. He does okay damage for 2 energies. He's an additional attacker. Kind of a tech, to be honest, but you kind of have to have it, I guess. Not really, but it makes sense to have 1 for the combo. So I decided to just use it too. Okay. Next up, we got a regular Absol, this lovely one as well from the EX Dragon set. The only reason this card is in here is because I wanted to have cards that could hit wall Pokemon. They're going to be immune to Shiftry EX. Shiftry EX is the only real attacker in this deck, and if your opponent uses some of those Pokemon, like Wobbuffet or something, or Ninetales, we don't really have anything to hit them. And I just want to have more basic Pokemon, more attackers, more options. And this guy is an option. It's a basic, 70 HP, and with prize count, if you have more prize cards left than your opponent, this attack is going to do 40 damage for 2, which is quite strong for back then. Now, our deck kind of is often going to go, it's going to be behind prizes because you spread around the damage and you'd rather not get super quick knockouts super quick. Sometimes you will, but spreading them around is usually what you're going to be doing. And if we're behind in prizes, we can utilize this guy's attack. Bad news is also a solid attack. If your opponent has 5 or more cards, then they gotta discard until they have, oh, 6 or more cards actually, excuse me. They gotta discard until they have 5. So against decks with big hand sizes, you're gonna disrupt them. But I have it mostly for the prize count attack. Okay. Next up, we got Lickitung. This is a more standard Pokemon you would see in this deck. Both Jason Klasinski and a player that topped and did really well with this deck back then used this card. It's a good opening Pokemon because you can draw 2. And then Delta Mind just synergizes with this deck. You're going to put 1 damage counter on an opponent's Pokemon. And if they're a Delta species Pokemon, you put 3 instead. So, spreading Pokemon, you just need somebody else to put in some work while you're going to set up for Shiftry. Have a few different attackers, and this is just a very good option. I did a lot of research and tried to figure out if there was a better way or different way to use Shiftry with other partner Pokemon, but this Lickitung makes a lot of sense. As a Delta species Pokemon too, we can discard it with the Hololens Adventurer and draw an additional card. You guys are going to see later. But 3 of this card should be a good basic Pokemon at the start of the game. Okay, and then the last Pokemon is going to be this Hololens Magnemite. Now, if you guys don't know about the Hololens Pokemon, their big benefit was the fact that they can be used as Pokemon, but they can also be energies too. So, cards that are going to search you out Pokemon, you can use this guy and search out an energy too, in a way. So I just have one of this. In Jason's deck profile, he uses Hololens Magnemite 2 as an additional attacker that can hit EX Pokemon for extra damage, and it's another sort of double rainbow energy, special energy, a bunch of other things you can do. But I just have one just for an energy card, I guess. It's only going to provide colorless. And basically that's about it. Another Pokemon. Alright. Stadium of choice is going to be 2 Crystal Beach and 1 Sydney's Stadium. Now Jason runs 3 Crystal Beach in his deck. I only have 2, so I needed a substitute, but Sydney Stadium is kind of nice too. Each player's darkness Pokemon can't be asleep, confused, or paralyzed. So some decks do try and do status conditions like paralysis locks and stuff. And the Floridos deck is going to inflict status on you too. Sydney Stadium is going to stop that. So it's something, I guess. And Crystal Beach, if you guys don't know, Scramble Energy was a really broken energy back then. And it's a card that we don't really utilize in this deck, with our main Pokemon being an EX. But other Pokemon, we're really going to exploit and abuse that card. Crystal Beach stops that if this stadium stays. And we also need counter stadiums too for Battle Frontier and other annoying stadiums that are going to fuck with us. So that's why you gotta run Crystal Beach, at least 2 copies. I mean, if you can do 3, you can do 3. I thought of other stadiums for this deck, but yeah, just these ones makes the most sense, so we run them. Alright. Next up, it's going to be a standard trainer. 4 rare candy. This is to get out Shiftry super quick. You can get Porygon2 if you want as well. It's the old rare candy with the broken effect. Man, I just really wish this card never got an errata, but that's a different story. So we max this out, basically. And now for some other maybe questionable cards. I do 1 Master Ball and 1 Pokenavigator. Now, Jason in his deck runs POW, Hand Extension, or I think that's how it's called. POW, yeah, Hand Extension, I think is the name. It's a Team Rocket card. Basically, you're behind prizes. You can switch an opponent's Pokemon. It's a one-sided warp point, or the main effect that you would do is move an energy from a Pokemon to a different Pokemon. So it kind of acted like a guaranteed energy removal, because you're going to put an energy on a useless support Pokemon, or a Pokemon that wouldn't be compatible with that energy, so then it would get discarded. Something like Scramble Energy, or I don't know, like energies that just wouldn't be compatible with all Pokemon. Now, I don't have those cards, unfortunately, so I needed to think of substitutes. I thought of energy removal too, but I really don't want to be flipping coins with this deck. I'd rather just not flip coins at all. So I just thought of boosting my consistency, and these cards, Pokenav, they do have synergy with our deck too. Now, first of all, Master Ball, you look at the top 7 cards of your deck, grab a basic Pokemon or evolution card, and you grab it essentially. Now, there's not really many ways, or any ways really, to get evolution Pokemon without using a supporter in this era. You have to use Celio's Network or Professor Elm, which you guys are going to see soon. So this is a nice sort of card that I can also use on the first turn perhaps, and maybe I'll reveal a basic, maybe I'll get an evolution Pokemon, you never know. And we have enough Pokemon in this deck, 19 Pokemon, that you're not really going to miss it. It's like the Great Ball of today, essentially. This is the original card, the original effect. Now for Pokenav, it's kind of the same thing. It's going to act like a weaker Trainer's Mail. You look at the top 3 cards of your deck, you choose a basic Pokemon, evolution card, or energy, any energy, it can be special too, and then you grab it. Now, between all of the energies and the Pokemon in this deck, I think it amounts to 33 or 32 targets. I think I have 14 energies in the deck and 19 Pokemon. I think that's about right. So it'll usually be live. You're not going to miss it. And if you do, it's not that too bad. It's not that bad because you can arrange the cards, the top cards of your deck. So this means if I do this and then I use Porygon2, I can grab the cards that I want to see perhaps. Now there's a different card that's more effective at this job. It's Pokédex Handy whatever from the EX Fart and Leaf Green set. But I don't have that card, and that's the only thing it does. It arranges cards of your deck. This one is going to give you a card too, so if we can just grab a special energy or a Pokemon, then it did its job. So I think even if I had Pokédex handy, I would use the Pokénav instead. So anyways, this is the card, the cards. Okay. Then we do one Pokemon Retriever. This is like the Rescue Stretcher, the original Rescue Stretcher of back in the day. You can either grab a Pokemon and put it into your hand, or grab 3 Pokemon and put them into your deck. So it's really good, really effective recovery, so we're going to use it. Then I do double Windstorm, once again, the original Field Blower. Man, it just goes to show you how great the EX era is. Original Field Blower. It's going to get rid of the stadiums that are going to hinder us, get rid of annoying tools. Just a very handy card. Run 2. I think Jason runs 1, but I think he was running 1, bumped it to 2, and then changed it to 1. I don't remember, but you can find his list in the WordPress page, essentially. And then the next card is going to be a War Point. Now, Jason doesn't run a single switching outlet in his deck, War Point or Switch. And the reason is basically in his deck, like in the standard deck, both Shiftry and Pidgeot have free retreat, and every other Pokemon has like 1 retreat, so they're not really going to be that useful. I mean, just get your big Pokemon out of the way. In my deck, I don't have Pidgeot, I have Porygon2. Porygon2 only has 1 retreat, so it's not going to be too bad either. But I don't know, I just wanted to have a switching card in. I decided to go with War Point as opposed to Switch because we can snipe around with a Shiftry anyway. So disrupting the opponent might be handy. And you never know, I guess. Maybe it's going to help me against status or some sort of effect preventing me to retreat. You never know. I just wanted to have it in. Some cards that Jason runs, I don't run, so I had more space. So, you know, War Point is a good card. It's going to put in some work. And, I mean, if you do use this, it means that I don't have to discard an energy from something like Lickitung or another one of my Pokemon. So, it's good, like Absol. Next up, we got a broken ass uncommon card and super expensive Hololens Transceiver. Do 3. 3 to 4 is the optimal number. You shouldn't do less if you really want to be serious and consistent. Now, I only have 3. I'd like to get the 4th one. You don't really necessarily need 4 if you're going to have a lot of the supporters in the deck anyway, but I mean, of course, it wouldn't hurt to have 4. I think Jason once again used to run 3 and then he bumped it up to 4. I'm pretty sure his latest deck does have 4 on WordPress. I just have 3 though, but if you guys don't know what this card does, it's an extremely broken trainer card that just basically makes the Hololens engine work. You can grab a supporter card from your deck that has Hololens, or grab a supporter with Hololens from the discard pile. So it can be a freaking tapulele searcher through a trainer, an item in a way, and a VS Seeker to grab those cards. So it doesn't get much better than this. So 3 to 4, you need to run it. This card is hella expensive. Just be warned, even the World Championship versions. Next up, we do supporters. It's going to be the Hololens Mentor for the first card of the Hololens engine. This is the collector, you could say. You grab 3 Pokemon, 100 HP or less, put them into your hand. Searchable with Transceiver. You gotta discard a card, but it's fine. The discarding kind of works with Porygon2 in this deck as well, because you know we lose a few cards, and then we can draw more cards with this effect. It just makes sense to me. Jason does 2, I do 3, and it's okay. I mean, just get those Pokemon early. Next up, we got 1 Hololens Adventurer. I have thought of putting 2 of this card and maybe drop in Scientist, but Scientist can be pretty good too if your opponent has a big hand. But essentially this card is just discard and then draw 3 if you discard a Delta Species Pokemon to a 4. So it's really nice with Lickitung because we're probably not going to use all of them. So you discard 1, draw more cards, searchable with Transceiver, and it's just straight draw, which is nice. So great card. Hololens Scientist. This is like the better version of what Volkner was in DP. Basically, just like all of the Hololens supporters, you gotta discard a card, and then if you have less cards, you're gonna draw to have the same amount as your opponent. So, if they got a big hand, you can basically draw a lot of cards. There's a bunch of rulings with this card because it can be confusing of when you can play it, when you can't play it. I'm not gonna really explain things right now, but it's just a really good card. So, well, not really good, just very solid. It's kind of like a Chorus, but I would say Chorus is better, but depends on what your opponent has, if it's gonna be good. Now, one might say, why not run Copycat? Yeah, but this is searchable, so we run it. It's part of the Hololens engine, why not? Most people did run at least 1 in their decks. Jason has 1 too. Next up, my favorite supporter of all time, Steven's Advice. Steven, essentially, original Steven card. This older one from Hidden Legends does have an errata, but even the new one is amazing from Power Keeper's new one. Basically, this is Erica that came in Team Up, I think. That's right, but much stronger. You draw cards up to the number of your opponent's Pokemon in play, but the limit is just 7 cards, not like 5, like Erica. So run 2, it's going to be excellent straight draw. You gotta have it in my opinion. 2 copies at least. Okay, and next up we got N. This is supposed to be Rocket's admin, but I don't have that card. I've been meaning to get a few, like the Celebrations version, because the original one is like 50 bucks, 50 euros or 40 euros or whatever a piece, and it's just an uncommon. I can't spend that money. But N is essentially the same thing, so it's gonna be my substitute in this deck. I've been meaning to get Celebration shit, but I do have an Elite Trainer box, like the Pokemon Center one, but it's in my residence in the UK. It's in my grandma's house, essentially. So yeah, maybe I'll get a few if I open that product. I'll pull a few, but it's very cheap. You can easily grab it. I just haven't gotten around that yet. So using N as a substitute. But if you guys know N, you know what Rocket's admin does. Early game is a solid supporter, shuffle and draw 6. That can help your opponent too if they have less than 6 or 5 cards. And I mean, this card wins games. It's all about skill. Jason is going to tell you, and using it for a long time and expanded, it just wins games. If your opponent just goes into 1 or 2 prizes and doesn't really have a complete setup to just secure the game, and then you do this and then you leave them with nothing, then you can sort of checkmate them. They draw nothing next turn and then you can just finish them off. So it's a very skillful card, a very amazing card, and it basically defines any format it's around. So Rocket's admin /N, you do 3. Jason would do 4, I think, but I just do 3. Should be good enough. Okay, and then we got 2 Professor Elm's training method as the last supporter of the deck. Jason would max this out in a lot of the decks. I'm not really a big fan of supporters that just only gonna net you 1 card, or yeah, just not really grant you a card advantage. Now this, what it does is you can grab an evolution Pokemon, and that's about it basically. And the difference between Celio's network is that you can grab an EX Pokemon too. So this is why this is in the deck as opposed to Celio, who can grab basics too. So it's a good card. It's a way to get Porygon2 or Shiftry, and then I can use Shiftry or start drawing cards with Porygon2. So it's nice, but I wouldn't want to max this out, to be honest. We have Master Ball and Pokémon2, which might help. I have other supporters that I think Jason doesn't run as many copies or at all, like Steven, in this particular deck anyway. So it's kind of a give or take. So just 2 of this, it's going to be good, but yeah, it's going to be good, but it's not a supporter that, especially mid to late game, once I do get a few Pokemon out, I don't want to be using this card to just grab 1 card. I'd rather just draw a bunch of cards. I don't know. Okay, and these are the supporters. Last thing to talk about is the energies. We run 4 of the special darkness energies. You max this out. One annoying thing about the EX era, one of its flaws I would say, is that they didn't introduce basic darkness and metal energies. So you only had 4 of these, and then you had to use stuff like all of the different special energies like multi-energy and rainbow energy and whatever, but gotta have this. It's gonna give us a boost as well. And then we do multi-energy. Speak of the devil, you gotta run these cards because it's basically our only other way to just meet that darkness cost on cards like Shiftry. And then we're not gonna have another special energy on. This is good. You can put this on Absol, you can put this on Lickitung. Of course, that's why it's in here. It's good. And max this out as well. And then the last thing to talk about is psychic energies. How many do I have? I think it must be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, 13 energies, not 14. But the psychic energies are here for Lickitung. You need some basic energies to attach to Shiftry to meet the colorless cost. And yeah, just for this reason, the basic energy choice of the deck. Okay, and this is the deck profile, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a very nice beginner deck for the EX era format because this guy's gonna work on his own. Essentially, you just get him out, and if your opponent uses pokepowers, they're gonna hurt themselves. Straightforward, strong, effective. Really hope you enjoyed it. When I was picking up these cards too, they were kind of cheap as well. Now I don't know how expensive they was, but I was picking these cards up for 10 euros, 15 euros, and maybe even less in near mint condition. I mean, even today is probably one of the cheaper EXs you can get. I don't know why, because it's a great card, but maybe it's because it's Shiftry, it's not that popular. But it might be more expensive right now. Just a lot of these cards are going to be expensive from the deck, just premium cards essentially. So hope you guys enjoyed this deck. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, share this video with your friends, and hopefully I'll show you guys more EX deck profiles in the future. I just need to be getting a lot of cards to be able to make these videos. I've acquired Jirachis too, have at least 2, but I need a few more pieces to show like a Blaziken deck from back then, and some other decks too, but in time, I want to do more DP deck profiles as well. So, Zebro94, thank you guys for watching. What's up?